This video is about Persephone descends into the underworld but Hades holds her captive forever. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulled you into the adventure. In the ancient world where the sun kissed the earth and the stars whispered secrets to the night, the realms of Olympus and the underworld were forever intertwined. Each cycle of the seasons, flowers bloomed and withered according to the whims of Demeter, goddess of the harvest, and her beloved daughter, Persephone. The bond between mother and daughter was a tapestry woven with threads of love and laughter, but it was soon to be torn asunder. One fated day, as the golden rays of Helios bathed the fields, Persephone ventured into a sun-drenched meadow, her laughter ringing like silver bells. In the midst of blooming flowers, she found serenity. But lurking beneath the surface of the earth was a darkness that stirred a promise broken, a hot longing for the past. Hades, lord of the underworld, watched from the shadows, his obsidian heart beating to the rhythm of unfulfilled desires. On that fateful day, as the winds whispered warnings, Hades emerged from the depths, cloaked in shadows, his presence an ethereal chill. The ground trembled beneath Persephone's feet as he approached, eyes gleaming like twin moons, filled with longing and despair. "Come with me, daughter of the harvest," he intoned, his voice a blend of silk and steel. "I offer a realm where no flower withers and no soul suffers." Persephone, caught between the realms, hesitated. She felt the pull of the underworld, seductive yet terrifying. But even as she sensed the darkness, her heart remembered the warmth of her mother's embrace. "I cannot leave my mother, Hades, the earth needs me." But Hades, driven by a love deeper than the abyss, extended his hand, and the very earth trembled. Before she could utter another word, he enveloped her in shadows, and the world above vanished in an explosion of light. In an instant, the vibrant meadow turned to shades of grey, and Persephone found herself in a realm of sorrow. The underworld was an expanse of lost souls and forgotten dreams, with rivers of sorrow flowing through its valleys. Hades' palace loomed before her, a stark fortress carved from obsidian, adorned with flickering ghostly flames. "Welcome to my domain," Hades said, his voice resonating like thunder. "Here, you shall reside and rule beside me, a queen of shadows, where flowers bloom eternally in my heart." With a heavy heart, Persephone surveyed her new world. Dark echoes of despair surrounded her, spirits drifted like gusts of wind, whispering tales of longing and regret. She felt compassion for them, yet her spirit yearned for the sunlit fields of her mother. Days turned into weeks, and Persephone attempted to conjure light in the bitterness of her new existence. Hades, though terrifying, was not unkind. He brought her jewels of the deepest night and offered her the sweetest fruits from the trees of the underworld. However, the sweetness turned sour in her mouth, for every gift felt like a chain binding her to despair. In the silence of her abode, she often heard whispers of the Furies, the avenging spirits prowling the shadows, their eyes aflame with vengeance, echoing the anguish of lost lives. They warned her of Hades' true nature. "He is a keeper of souls, and your light will fade, leaving only the darkness that consumes even the brightest stars." Desperate to escape, Persephone dreamed of her mother, of the warmth of the sun. In these dreams, Demeter searched the earth, her cries echoing through the fields, invoking the power of nature itself. As seasons turned, the land withered in Demeter's despair, plunging the realms into chaos. The gods of Olympus, witnessing the devastation, convened upon Olympus, their voices merging like thunder. Athena, wise and vigilant, spoke first. "We must intervene. The balance of nature teeters on the edge of ruin. Hades must relinquish Persephone before all is lost." Zeus, the mighty king, nodded gravely. "But the underworld is not easily breached. Hades will not yield without a fight. We must prepare for war." And as the gods forged a plan, Persephone continued to endure Hades' affections, a bittersweet dance binding the two souls. Like vines intertwined, their fates grew ever closer, though the essence of light within her dimmed. One fateful night, as Persephone sat by the banks of the river Styx, she met Charon, the ferryman, who glided through the mists with an air of solemnity. "You are not meant to dwell here, child of the earth," he said, his eyes reflecting the weight of souls. "Your destiny lies above, in the embrace of the sun." The words ignited a flicker of hope within her. "How can I return?" she whispered, her heart pounding with longing. "Only by traversing the shadowed path and facing the darkness that binds you to him." "The journey will test your resolve," Charon warned, his voice grave, "but heed this, Hades will not let you go easily." With her resolve steeled, Persephone gathered her courage. She understood now that to break free, she must confront the depths of Hades' heart to reveal the truth of his love and the chains binding her. She would face not only him, but also the very nature of fate itself, a task as daunting as confronting the Titans or the monstrous Kraken. That night, Persephone stood before Hades, heart racing, the flickering flames casting dancing shadows upon her face. "Let me return to my mother," she demanded, her voice fierce yet trembling. "You must understand I am not your prisoner, nor your queen. I am the child of spring, meant for the light." Hades' expression shifted. The darkness in his eyes flickered like a dying ember. "You think I hold you captive? My heart beats for you, Persephone. In my realm, you shall know power beyond comprehension." "But at what cost?" She countered, her voice rising as shadows right around them. "You would keep me in the dark, forever a prisoner in your love." Hades stepped closer, his voice a whisper that chilled her soul. "You cannot fathom the depths of my love. Dear Persephone, I will protect you from the cruelties of the world above. You belong to me." With those words, the air thickened, and shadows spiraled around them, coiling like serpents. Persephone felt the very essence of the underworld threaten to consume her. "Is this love?" she asked, desperation creeping into her words. In that moment, she summoned the strength of a goddess. With a fierce cry, she released the light within her, a radiant burst that illuminated the darkened halls of the palace. He staggered back, surprised, as tendrils of light lanced through the shadows, revealing the tormented souls trapped within. "Release them," she cried, the light growing brighter, spilling across the ground like spilled milk. "Release them, or I shall shatter this realm with my light." Hades, stunned by the power of her spirit, faltered. In that instant, the very foundations of the underworld trembled, as if the earth itself had awakened to her call. The Furies, sensing the shift, converged upon them, their howls rising like a tempest, demanding vengeance for the souls trapped in eternal grief. "Fury or love, you choose." Persephone shouted, standing tall, her heart racing with determination as the shadows grew restless around them. Hades' eyes darkened, a storm brewing within. "You dare challenge me?" he rumbled, yet there was a hint of uncertainty in his voice. "I challenge your darkness," she declared, her spirit a beacon of defiance. The clash of their wills reverberated through the depths, a cacophony of light and shadow. As Persephone fought against the grip of despair, the gods above sensed the tumult. Zeus summoned the thunder, bolts of lightning illuminating the night sky. "We must descend to aid her," he commanded, his voice booming like a tempest. With his decree, the gods of Olympus prepared for war, ready to breach the threshold of the underworld to rescue Persephone, setting in motion a battle that would span the realms. The stakes were high, the fate of Persephone hanging in the balance. Persephone, determined to reclaim her life and rescue the souls imprisoned in darkness, stood ready to face Hades and the shadows that sought to consume her. In that moment of tension, time seemed to stretch and snap like the twine of fate itself. The echoes of the past whispered through the halls, and the battle for her heart, her freedom, was only just beginning. The world held its breath, awaiting the clash between love and darkness, as destinies intertwined in a storm of chaos and courage. As Persephone prepared for the fight ahead, she vowed she would not be merely a pawn in this intricate game of gods and shadows. She was more than a daughter of the harvest. She was a force untamed, a spark that could ignite change, a beacon of hope in the darkest hour. The tides of fate were shifting, and with them came the promise of destiny, one that would echo through the annals of time, forever changing the realms of gods and mortals alike. As the tempest raged in the underworld, Persephone felt the walls of Hades' palace tremble, echoing the fury of her heart. Shadows writhed like serpents, and she understood that the depths of her confrontation with Hades would determine not only her fate, but the fate of countless souls trapped beneath the weight of despair. In the distance, the Furies, their eyes burning with vengeance, circled like ominous clouds, whispering tales of betrayal, loss, and unfulfilled promises. "Your light will fade, child of the earth," one hissed, "and you will find yourself consigned to our realm, forever wretched." Persephone shook her head, banishing their words from her mind as she prepared her spirit for the battle within. "Your resolve is admirable," Hades murmured, a flicker of intrigue igniting behind his dark gaze, "but it is futile against the abyss." He extended his hand, shadows coiling around his fingers, the darkness swarming like a living cloak. "Join me willingly, and I will grant you powers that rival the gods themselves. You will be the queen of this realm." "I am no queen in chains," she shouted, her voice reverberating through the obsidian halls. The power within her surged, the light of spring bursting forth with every beat of her heart. "I will not yield to the darkness that seeks to consume me." With a primal roar, Hades unleashed the shadows, sending them crashing toward her like a tidal wave. "Then face the abyss," he bellowed, and the shadows surged forward, writhing and spinning in a chaotic frenzy. Persephone's heart raced as she drew upon the light within, feeling it swell in response to the darkness. She thrust her hands forward, and a radiant beam erupted from her fingertips, meeting the encroaching shadows in a clash of blinding brilliance. force of light shattered the darkness like glass, sending shards of night scattering across the floor like dying stars. The Furies shrieked, their wails merging into a chilling cacophony. "You cannot escape this fate," they screamed, their forms shifting and distorting as they swarmed around her. "You are bound to him by blood and ash." But Persephone stood firm, her resolve unwavering. "I am bound to my destiny, and my heart belongs to the sun." With each syllable, her light flared brighter, illuminating the dark corners of the underworld, revealing lost souls reaching out with desperate hands, yearning for liberation. In that moment, she cast her gaze upon the trapped souls, their faces showing anguish and despair, reflections of her own torment. "I will not let your suffering continue," she cried, and with that vow, she poured every ounce of her being into the light, weaving a tapestry of hope. The brightness expanded, pushing back the shadows, and Hades staggered, uncertainty coursing through him. "You are strong, my dear Persephone, but your defiance only deepens your suffering," he warned, his voice strained yet powerful, a mixture of admiration and rage. "Is this love?" she shouted, her voice now a battle cry. "To imprison me in darkness, to keep me from my mother? Love is freedom, Hades, not chains." The air crackled with energy as Persephone tapped into the very essence of nature, summoning the winds and the earth. "Let the spirits of the underworld rise," she commanded, and the shadows began to peel back, revealing a path *** to the light *** hidden behind the veil of darkness. Hades, recognizing the shift in the tides, summoned a wave of shadows so fierce that the very ground trembled beneath their feet. "I will not lose you," he thundered, the obsidian walls of his palace vibrating with his fury. The shadows twisted into monstrous forms, fierce beasts born from despair simultaneously haunting and beautiful. They lunged at her, jaws snapping, eyes aflame with a hunger for despair. Persephone, her heart racing, summoned the brilliance within her once more, transforming it into a shield of light that enveloped her. "Your nightmares cannot touch me," she shouted, and with a fierce determination, she launched the light outward, dissipating the shadows into wisps of smoke that vanished into the void. But as the light surged, Hades unleashed a roar that echoed through the realm, summoning the very forces of the underworld to his aid. The ground split open, and from the chasm emerged ancient creatures Cerberus, the three-headed guardian, and the Minotaur, rage and fury incarnate. "Face your fears, Persephone," Hades bellowed, watching with a mixture of pride and anger as she confronted the monstrous beings. "They are your true prison." With a racing heart, Persephone faced the beasts, her spirit swelling with the power of nature and the memories of her mother's love. "I am not afraid," she proclaimed. The thought of her mother, the joy of spring blooming in her heart, fueled her resolve. Cerberus lunged, its three heads snapping in a symphony of growls and snarls. Persephone dodged to the side, feeling the rush of air as the beast's jaws narrowly missed her. Channeling her light, she formed a sphere of luminescence that illuminated the cavern, dispelling the shadows and revealing the true paths that wove through the underworld. "Let the light guide you," she cried, and with a flick of her wrist, she held the sphere at Cerberus. The moment it struck, the beast's growls turned to wails of confusion as the light seeped into its very essence, revealing the lost soul that had once been imprisoned within. "Remember who you are," Persephone shouted, her voice resonating through the dark. "You are not bound to this realm. Break free of your chains." The light erupted, and in a burst of radiance, Cerberus transformed, its three heads morphing into the shapes of innocent spirits, freed from their torment. With a howl, they ascended, leaving behind only the echoes of their past. "Wrath?" Hades roared, fury igniting his features. "You dare defy me? I will not let your light extinguish the shadows I have woven." Persephone turned to face him, her resolve unyielding. "Your darkness is not my destiny. Love is born from light, not from fear." Determined to end the battle, she summoned *** her strength, drawing upon the life force of the earth and the cries of the freed spirits. "You will not hold me captive," she declared, the light surging until it became a blinding beacon that illuminated the entirety of the underworld. With a fierce cry, she thrust her hands toward Hades, sending forth a torrent of radiant energy that surged like a tidal wave, engulfing the darkness, shattering the chains that bound the lost souls to their eternal suffering. Hades, his expression a storm of rage and regret, was engulfed by the light. "You will regret this, Persephone," he shouted, his voice filled with an echoing sorrow that sent shivers through the very core of her being. The obsidian fortress began to crack, fissures spreading as the light consumed the shadows. The Furies wailed, swirling around Hades, their forms dissolving into the brightness. "You will pay for this defiance," they screamed, their voices fading like a distant lament. As the palace imploded around them, Persephone felt the ground tremble beneath her feet. "I will not be afraid," she shouted, her voice a siren-esque call. I will not be your prisoner. And then, with a final surge of light, the underworld erupted into a kaleidoscope of brilliance, the shadows retreating like a tide before the sun. Hades, his form flickering like a dying ember, glared back with a mixture of rage and sorrow. You cannot escape your fate, my dear. But she did not waver, standing tall amidst the chaos. I choose my fate, and it lies among the flowers of spring, the laughter of my mother, and the warmth of the sun. With those words, the light enveloped her completely, and she felt herself being pulled upward through the layers of darkness and despair. She was rising, free from the chains that had bound her so tightly. As the last remnants of the underworld faded from view, Persephone soared upwards, the sun's rays washing over her, embracing her like a long-lost love. In that moment, she was reborn, a child of spring aflame with hope and purpose, a beacon of light illuminating the depths of despair. And below, as the remnants of Hades' realm crumbled, the darkness would not fade without its mark. The Lord of the Underworld, scarred and broken, watched Persephone ascend, a mix of regret and longing reflecting in his eyes. But he was the god of the Underworld, and shadows would always be his domain. He vowed, even amidst his defeat, that the threads of fate were not yet severed, and their destinies were still intertwined in a tapestry woven by cosmic forces beyond their reckoning. As Persephone burst forth into the sunlight, a promise hung in the air, a promise of love, of conflict, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness that would forever echo through the realms of gods and mortals alike. The battle was won, but the war of wills had only just begun. The realm of Olympus was awash in chaos as the gods gathered, their voices melding into a furious symphony. The skies churned with dark clouds as Zeus unleashed bolts of thunder, igniting the heavens with flashes of light. We must act swiftly, he bellowed, his divine presence radiating authority. Hades seeks to claim her forever, and we will not let this darkness consume our world. Athena, wise and sharp, stood at his side, her gaze piercing through the tumult. We must strategize, for Hades is cunning. He will not yield easily. We must breach the underworld with the strength of our combined powers to rescue Persephone and restore balance. As the gods assembled their forces, Persephone soared through the realms, her heart racing, filled with the lingering warmth of the sun. Yet, as the light poured over her, she felt a pull of gravitation force tugging at her essence, threatening to drag her back into the dark abyss from which she had just escaped. Hades' voice echoed through the ether, a haunting whisper that sent chills down her spine. You cannot run from your destiny, Persephone. You are bound to me, tethered by love and the very fabric of fate. She felt the shadows coiling around her, seeking to ensnare her once more. No, she cried out, drawing strength from her newfound resolve. I choose my fate, my heart belongs to the light. Casting her gaze upon the golden fields below, she felt the presence of her mother Demeter's warm embrace igniting her spirit. I am coming, mother, she shouted, determination surging within her as she propelled herself skyward, breaking through the clouds. As Hades descended from the depths, he summoned a tempest of darkness to pursue her. Shadows erupted like a storm, swirling in pursuit, twisting and contorting into monstrous forms that howled with fury. The air thickened with despair, a palpable force that sought to weigh her down. Return to me, my queen! Hades roared, his voice resonating with authority. You cannot escape the love that binds us. But Persephone, now resolute, felt the light of her spirit flaring brighter in the heavens. I am no queen in chains. I will not fall to the shadows of your heart. With every ounce of strength, she channeled her power into radiant beams of light, scattering the dark creatures that sought to reclaim her. The monsters screeched as they dissipated into wisps of smoke, leaving only the echo of despair in their wake. As she ascended higher, she caught a glimpse of the gods, their forms illuminated against the stormy sky. With a fierce cry, she summoned her voice, calling out to them. I am here, I am free. In response, Zeus unleashed a mighty bolt of lightning that shattered the darkness surrounding her. Push forward, daughter of the earth, he commanded, his voice booming like the sound of thunder. We will not let you descend again. Exhilarated by Zeus' call, Persephone surged toward the divine light, drawn by the promise of freedom. Yet Hades, determined not to lose her again, unleashed his most fearsome creation, Typhon, the father of all monsters, whose wings blotted out the sun and whose eyes burned with malice. As Typhon roared, the very earth quaked beneath its weight. You will pay for your defiance, it bellowed, a cacophony reverberating through the realms. Persephone's heart raced at the sight of the monstrous titan. We cannot yield, she shouted, rallying the gods at her side. Together we shall not falter. With a deafening clash, the gods joined forces, summoning the elements of nature, each warrior infusing their essence with Persephone's radiant light. Athena conjured a shield of wisdom, while Poseidon unleashed tidal waves of power, crashing against Typhon with ferocious might. But the Titan retaliated, its massive serpentine body striking out, creating storms of darkness that engulf gods and mortals alike. "You are mere mortals, and I am eternal." Typhon's voice roared, sending tremors through the heavens. Yet Persephone, now emboldened by the support of the gods, surged forth with unyielding defiance. "We are not mere mortals, we are the embodiment of light and hope," she proclaimed, her essence igniting at the very core of her being. In that moment, she channeled the strength of her mother, the spirit of the earth rising within her. The brightness of spring flourished, and the flowers of the meadow blossomed in defiance of the darkness. "Let the earth rise up," she cried, summoning tendrils of green that coiled around Typhon's limbs, entrapping him in a prison of light. The Titan roared, thrashing against its bonds, yet the intertwined vines tightened, fueled by Persephone's will. "You think you can bind me?" Typhon spat, fury etched in its monstrous features. The gods rallied around Persephone, their powers combining in a radiant crescendo of light. "Together," Zeus shouted, the sky splitting with the ferocity of their combined might. "We shall not let the shadows claim our world." With a final, earth-shattering push, Persephone released all her energy, the light erupting from her in a blinding torrent. "For the harvest, for the light, for all those who suffer," she declared, sending forth a wave of brilliance that shattered the darkness surrounding Typhon and sent shockwaves across the realms. The Titan let out a final, agonizing roar as it was consumed by the surge of light, its form dissipating into a haze of shadows, banished back to the depths of the underworld. Hades, witnessing the destruction of his most potent creation, felt the weight of loss settle upon his shoulders. "You may have bested Typhon, but you cannot escape me." Hades raged, his voice filled with a sorrowful fury. The shadows swirled around him, dark tendrils coiling like serpents, seeking to reclaim what was lost. But Persephone, emboldened by their victory, stood tall. "No, Hades, you will not take me again," she cried, her essence shining brighter than ever. "I will not allow you to trap me in a fate of despair. We are bound by love, but I choose freedom." As the battle raged on, the gods encircled Persephone, their resolve mirrored in her eyes. "We will protect you," they declared, their unity a powerful force against the oncoming darkness. The skies above transformed into a battlefield of light and shadows, a clash between the divine and the damned. Thunder echoed, and the ground beneath them trembled as the gods unleashed their full powers, forging a path toward Hades. "Your time is over, my beloved," Hades shouted, desperation lacing his voice as he summoned shadows to shield himself. "Do not forget the bond we share." But Persephone's heart softened no longer. "You have imprisoned me in your darkness, Hades. Love cannot thrive in chains." With every ounce of determination, she pushed forward, drawing upon the powers of nature and the spirits of the freed souls. The light surged, cascading like waterfalls, and with a final, earth-shattering roar, she hurled her essence toward Hades. The brilliance enveloped him, tearing apart the shadows that had once defined him. Hades, caught in the storm of brilliance, felt the very core of his being fracture. "You cannot banish me so easily," he cried, yet his voice was now tinged with sorrow, a whisper lost in the tempest. But Persephone, unyielding, pressed on. "I will not be your prisoner, Hades. I choose the light. I choose my destiny." As the light expanded, it engulfed Hades in a radiant embrace, illuminating the depths of his heart. For the first time, he felt the warmth of hope and ember of understanding ignited within the shadows. In that moment, the tides of fate shifted. The darkness around Hades began to dissolve, revealing glimpses of the god he once was, a ruler of shadows who had only sought to protect what he loved. Yet the battle was far from over. The gods rallied, and the ground shook beneath them as they closed in on Hades, their resolve unwavering. "Release her," Zeus commanded, his voice resonating with divine authority. With a final explosion of light, Persephone unleashed a torrent of energy, washing over Hades and the remnants of his darkness. Shadows shattered like glass, disintegrating before her brilliance. Hades, engulfed in the light, felt the last remnants of his power slipping away. And then there was silence. As the echoes of the clash faded, the realms of Olympus and the Underworld stood still, suspended in a moment of reflection. Persephone stood at the edge of the divide, the light of spring illuminating her face, while Hades, stripped of his shadows, fell to his knees, a mixture of defeat and understanding washing over him. "You have won your freedom," he murmured, the weight of sorrow heavy in his voice. "But know that the bond we share is woven into the very fabric of existence. I cannot change who I am." Persephone, her heart caught between worlds, regarded him with compassion. "I do not wish." With the power of spring and the light of hope illuminating the darkness, she felt a surge of empathy for the pain echoing in his words. "Hades, I do not seek to destroy you. I understand the depth of your love. but love must not bind us in chains, it should set us free. The remnants of the battlefield lay scattered around them, the echoes of their struggle resonating in the air, and Persephone stood at the precipice between light and shadow. Hades, the lord of the underworld, knelt before her, vulnerability etched into his features, his once mighty form now a mere shadow of itself. His obsidian eyes glimmered, reflecting a flicker of the humanity buried deep within. "You have changed me," Hades murmured, his voice a haunting whisper carried on the winds. "In your light, I see the shadows that have consumed me, the darkness that I thought could protect you. I see now that it only served to alienate us." Persephone stepped closer, her heart aching for the god who had once captured her spirit in chains of love. "You are more than darkness, Hades. You are a protector of souls, a ruler who can bring peace to the lost, but that peace must come from a place of understanding, not fear." As she spoke, the remnants of the underworld shifted. The shadows that had once coiled like serpents began to retreat, revealing lost souls who had witnessed the battle unfold. They hovered in the air, their faces a tapestry of emotions, hope, sorrow, and unfulfilled desires. "Free us," they cried in unison, their voices a chorus of the damned yearning for release. Hades turned to the specters, feeling the weight of their anguish bearing down on him. "No more," he said, his voice steadying as he rose to his full height. "If Persephone can rise from the ashes of despair, then so can you. I will no longer keep you bound to this place of torment." In a powerful surge of energy, he stretched out his hands, dark tendrils of shadow swirling around him like a tempest. "Let the chains of the past shatter and the spirits ascend," he proclaimed, his voice echoing like thunder through the realm. The shadows trembled, and with a flash of brilliance, they transformed into shimmering motes of light, each one representing a soul freed from Hades' grasp. Persephone felt the rush of energy as the soul surged upward, merging with the radiant sky. The once gloomy underworld began to blossom, the obsidian fortress melting away into streams of ethereal light, revealing a lush landscape of flowers and greenery that had long been forgotten. "This is what you could create, Hades," she said, her voice unwavering, "if only you would embrace the light." With renewed determination, Hades glanced at Persephone, and for the first time, he saw not only the strength of her spirit but the possibilities that lay within him. "You have shown me the truth," he said, his voice trembling with the weight of realization. "I will not be the tyrant of shadows any longer." The gods of Olympus, witnessing the transformation below, descended from their celestial heights, their forms shimmering with divine essence. Zeus led the charge, his presence radiating authority. "We have fought for her freedom, Hades," he declared, his voice booming like the roar of thunder. "Will you honor our pact and let her choose her fate?" Hades turned to face Zeus, his expression resolute yet sorrowful. "I will not imprison her again. I understand now that I cannot force her to remain by my side through fear and manipulation. Love must be a choice, not a command." Athena stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with wisdom and hope. "Then let us forge a new alliance, Hades, a union between our realms that honors both the light and the darkness. For every seed that blooms, there is a shadow cast behind it. Together, we can create a balance that endures." Persephone felt the weight of her destiny shift, as if the very fabric of the universe conspired in her favor. "I will return to the earth, but I will not forget the bond we share, Hades. I will be the bridge between our worlds," she declared, her voice clear and unwavering. "Our love need not be defined by chains, but by the strength we draw from one another." Hades, moved by her words, nodded. "Then let it be so. I will rule the underworld with compassion, and you, my love, will thrive among the flowers of the earth." The shadows that had once bound him began to dissipate, replaced by a delicate luminescence that filled his spirit. But as the realms began to heal, a new threat loomed on the horizon. From the depths of the underworld, stirred by the turmoil, emerged a figure cloaked in darkness, Erebus, the primordial god of darkness and shadow. His eyes glowed with malevolence, seeking vengeance for the disruption of his realm. He dared defy the very foundation of darkness. Erebus roared, his voice a low rumble that sent tremors through the air. "You cannot erase the shadows that bind the underworld." In an instant, he summoned a legion of nightmarish creatures, beasts born from nightmare and despair, to reclaim the darkness that Hades had relinquished. They surged forward, monstrous forms clawing at the remnants of the light, their growls echoing through the landscape as chaos threatened to reignite. Hades turned to Persephone, determination igniting his soul. "I will fight to protect this new legacy we have forged," he declared, summoning the power of the underworld to his side. "Together, we will face this threat." The gods rallied alongside Hades, their forms glowing with divine energy. Zeus raised his thunderbolts high, charging them with a fierce light. "We will not let darkness consume our realm," he shouted, his voice reverberating like the clash of titans. As the battle erupted anew, Persephone felt the weight of her newfound purpose. "Together, we stand united," she declared, channeling the essence of spring within her as she joined the ranks of gods and her beloved Hades. "Together, we shall conquer the darkness." The clash between light and shadow ignited, with bolts of lightning colliding against the monstrous forms of Erebus minions. Hades wielded shadows like weapons, transforming the darkness into shields and blades that danced in the fray. "You may have birthed chaos, but we will turn your darkness against you," he shouted, pushing back against the tide of nightmares. Persephone unleashed her radiant light, sending beams of hope cascading through the battlefield, illuminating the faces of the lost souls fighting alongside them. "Rise, spirits of the earth," she cried, her voice a beacon of strength. "Let the power of love guide you." The spirits, invigorated by her words, surged forth, joining the fray with newfound courage, souls freed from despair, now united against the darkness that sought to claim them once more. They fought valiantly alongside the gods, a force of nature that transcended the boundaries of life and death. Yet Erebus, relentless in his pursuit, unleashed his full fury upon them, summoning nightmarish beasts that clawed at the very fabric of reality. "You cannot escape your fate," he roared, venom dripping from his voice. "The shadows will always return." But Persephone felt the pulse of spring within her, a defiance that surged like wildfire. "We will not be defined by our past," she shouted, rallying the spirits and the gods. "Together, we are stronger than any darkness." With Hades by her side, they channeled their combined powers into a radiant force, the light merging with the shadows in a beautiful dance of creation and destruction. "Let us forge a new destiny," Persephone declared, and in that moment their bond ignited, a blazing inferno that washed across the battlefield. The forces of light surged forward, enveloping Erebus and his minions, illuminating the darkness until they began to shimmer like glass, breaking apart into countless shards of light. The monsters shrieked as their forms dissolved, vanished into the void from which they came. As the last remnants of Erebus faded, the battlefield fell silent, the air thick with the scent of flowers blooming amidst the ashes of conflict. Hades and Persephone stood at the forefront, their hands entwined, their hearts united in a newfound purpose. "We have forged a new balance," Hades said, his voice filled with reverence. "Together, we shall rule the realms, not as enemies of light and dark, but as protectors of both." Persephone smiled, the warmth of the sun shining within her. "And together, we shall ensure that love prevails, even in the darkest of times." In that moment, the realms of Olympus and the Underworld stood united, the tapestry of existence woven with threads of hope, strength, and resilience. The gods and spirits around them cheered, a chorus of joy and celebration echoing across the heavens. From that day forward, Persephone would descend to the Underworld each season, bringing with her the light and warmth of spring, while Hades would protect the souls beneath, granting them the peace they so desperately sought. The bond, forged in the fires of struggle, would resonate through the ages, a mythic tale of love, sacrifice, and the eternal dance between light and darkness. And as the seasons turned,